Earlier this year, I set foot in Brazil for the very first time. Our first stop was Foz do Iguaçu, home of the legendary Iguazu Falls. And let me tell you, seeing them in person was easily one of the most mind-blowing travel experiences of my life. But before we get to that, let me show you what else I got up to. I spent my first day at Parque das Aves, a bird park right outside the entrance to Iguazu National Park. I picked up the connector ticket, which meant I was guided around by some really knowledgeable staff, introduced to the birds, and even had exclusive access to feed them myself. What stood out wasn't just seeing the incredible variety of species, but also learning about the conservation work that happens here every single day. Most guides online will tell you the park takes just a couple of hours to get through, and sure, you can rush it, but honestly, I loved slowing down and spending the whole day here, just soaking up the atmosphere and watching the birds. If you're a wildlife lover like me, then Parque das Aves is a must visit. I cannot recommend it enough. Iguazu sits right on the borders of Brazil, Argentina and Paraguay. There's a special landmark where the three countries meet, and in the evenings they put on a performance to celebrate all three cultures and traditions. If you can, I'd definitely recommend visiting then. It's such a unique way to experience the blend of these cultures all in one place. My next stop was the Itaipu Biological Refuge. It's essentially a wildlife rescue and conservation centre dedicated to protecting the habitats and biodiversity of the Atlantic rainforest. If I'm completely honest, before going I was a little apprehensive as I felt it might be kind of zoo-like or feel a little exploitative, but I was so pleasantly surprised. Even though I had accidentally booked myself onto a non-English speaking tour, my guide went out of their way to look after me and explain everything, so I understood. And I left so impressed by the work they were doing here. It was another amazing opportunity to see the wildlife of this region up close, while supporting real conservation efforts. The next day I returned back to Itaipu, but this time to visit Itaipu Dam itself. This massive structure is one of the largest hydroelectric dams in the world, generating power for both Brazil and Paraguay. It's hard to put into words just how enormous this really is. You can't really appreciate the scale until you're standing in front of it. The tour even takes you behind the scenes, down into the inner workings of the dam, which was fascinating to see up close. Of course, the main attraction here is the waterfalls themselves. Iguazu is made up of 275 individual falls, stretching for almost a mile and a half along the border between Brazil and Argentina. If you can, I'd strongly recommend spending a full day exploring both sides because they really are quite different. We started on the Argentina side, which is definitely the larger and more dramatic of the two. Walking the trails and platforms there puts you right into the middle of the action, surrounded by the thunder of the falls. We grabbed a taxi across just before opening and hopped on the park's little train straight up to the Devil's Throat, the single largest waterfall of all. Standing right above it, with water crashing all around you, is truly breathtaking. It feels like being in the heart of the falls. As you explore the park, you'll almost definitely run into these little guys, Quachi. They're native to South America and part of the raccoon family. They're completely unfazed by people and honestly ridiculously adorable. But don't be fooled, the moment someone set a bag down, they were straight on them. There are a couple of main trails to walk here. The superior, which takes you along the top of the falls, and the inferior, which winds along the bottom. We started with the superior, and the views were absolutely stunning, but in all honesty, the inferior trail was just as incredible. It's the kind of place where you keep thinking you've already found the best view, and then you round another corner, and it completely takes your breath away all over again. After hours of walking the trails and soaking it all in, we headed back across to Brazil for a very special stop. We had one night booked at the Belmond Hotel, the only hotel located within the national park on the Brazilian side. I'm not going to lie, it was expensive and definitely stretched the budget, but it was absolutely worth it. The hotel looks directly out over the falls, and by staying there you get exclusive access to the trails both before the park opens and after it closes. And we were in luck. The night we stayed there just happened to be the last chance to join one of their midnight walks, a guided trip to see the falls lit by the full moon. It was already surreal to be there, but then we got to witness something even rarer. A lunar rainbow arcing out of the mist. It was absolutely unreal, one of those once-in-a-lifetime moments that I'll never forget. Even though I was tired from the midnight walk, I couldn't resist waking up early to catch the falls at sunrise. On the Brazilian side, the trail is much shorter than in Argentina, but honestly, that almost made it feel more special. With the soft morning light and almost no one else around, it was tranquil, intimate, and the perfect way to end my time here. With just a few hours left before our flight, we had a real toss-up on how to spend that time. In the end, we popped back into Parque das Aves for a little while, and then just slowed down to soak in the hotel as much as we could. Honestly though, I think I've left Iguazu with a new life goal, to come back here again one day. And that wraps up Iguazu. We jumped on the plane to Rio de Janeiro next, so if you want to keep following the adventure, be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.